Alrighty. Let's hear this speech that's been going viral. Let's hear what this is all about. Cutting Pete. Got something to say.
As you have seen, and the media has obsessed over, I have fired a number of senior officers since taking over.
Okay.
The previous chairman, other members of the Joint Chiefs, combatant commanders, and other commanders. The rationale for me has been straightforward. It's nearly impossible to change a culture with the same people who helped create or even benefited from that culture, even if that culture was created by a previous president and previous secretary.
Interesting.
My approach has been simple. When in doubt, assess the situation, follow your gut, and if it's the best for the military, make a change.
Okay.
We all serve at the pleasure of the president every single day. But in many ways, it's not their fault.
I already saw a bunch of people was like, no, they serve the Constitution. So, I'm sure he's getting backlash for that statement.
It's not your fault. As foolish and reckless as the woke department was, those officers were following elected.
I know what he meant, yeah, but he's the head of the military, commander in chief.
Political leadership. An entire generation of generals and admirals were told that they must parrot the insane fallacy that, quote, our diversity is our strength. Of course, we know our unity is our strength. They had to put out dizzying DEI and LGBTQI plus statements. They were told females and males are the same thing. Or that males who think they're females is totally normal. They were told that we need a green fleet and
You're going in, ain't he?
They were told to kick out Americans who refused an emergency vaccine. They followed civilian policies set by foolish and reckless political leaders. Our job, my job, has been to determine which leaders simply did what they must to answer the prerogatives of civilian leadership, and which leaders are truly invested in the woke department, and therefore incapable of embracing the War Department and executing new lawful orders. That's it. It's that simple.
The woke department.
So for the past 8 months, we've gotten a good look under the hood of our officer corps. We've done our best to thoroughly assess the human terrain.
Okay.
We've had to make trade-offs and some difficult decisions.
All right.
It's more of an art than a science. We have been and will continue to be judicious, but also...
I just figured out who he reminds me of. Oh, man, he has a resemblance to him, too. This dude I used to work for. Yeah, he was a manager. I didn't exactly work for him, but he was a manager. And he was from the military, which is interesting. And he was a POS. He was. I was going to beat the living hell out of him this one day. And I told another manager, I said, listen, I was at the point to where I wanted him to say something. Trust me, if I went down the line and told you the stuff this dude said and what he was like and the stuff he said to people, and several other managers were similar to him, but he had this particular way of getting under my skin. And that day I had enough. And I told this one manager, I said, I walked out, I said, if he says one more thing, I'm going to knock him right in the middle of the floor. I want him to. I dare him to. And I think he must have said something to him because he didn't say nothing to me for the rest of the day. He knew that he could not match me physically at all. Who knows? Maybe he could have when he was younger. I don't know. But he was too skinny and spangly to do anything with me. And he didn't say nothing to me. And I'm telling you, babe, I'm just saying, he reminds me of him. I don't know if he's anything like him. Right now, he's saying some interesting things. But it's just kind of funny that he reminds me of him.
Expeditious.
Expeditiously.
The new compass heading is clear.
Sam's, expeditiously. Where's that from?
out with the Shirellis, the Mackenzies, and the Millies, and in with the Stockdales, the Schwarzkopfs, and the Pattons. More leadership changes will be made, of that I'm certain. Not because we want to, but because we must. Once again, this is life and death. The sooner we have the right people, the sooner we can advance the right policies. Personnel is policy.
Okay.
But I look out at this group, and I see great Americans.
All right.
Leaders who have given decades to our great republic, at great sacrifice to yourselves and to your families. But if the words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. We would thank you for your service. But I suspect, I know, the overwhelming majority of you feel the opposite. These words make your hearts full. You love the War Department because you love what you do, the profession of arms. You are hereby liberated to be an apolitical, hard-charging, no-nonsense, constitutional leader that you joined the military to be. We need you locked in on the M. Not the D, the E, or the I. Not the DEI or the DIE of dime. By that I mean the M. Military, of the instruments of national power. We have entire departments across the government dedicated to diplomatic, informational, and economic lines of effort. We do the M. Nobody else does. And our GoFos need to master it in every domain and every scenario. No more distractions, no more political ideologies, no more debris.
Okay.
Now, of course, we're going to disagree at times. We would not be American.
Seems real stern and straightforward. I can deal with that. I like him so far. Let's see what else he has to say.
As if we didn't. Being a leader in a large organization like ours means having frank conversations and differences of opinion.
Okay.
You will win some arguments,
You will
and
lose
you will
some.
lose some arguments.
Some will be a
But
stalemate.
when civilian leaders issue lawful orders, we execute. We are professionals
Okay.
in the profession of arms. Our entire constitutional system is predicated upon this understanding. Now, seems like a small thing, but it's not. This includes as well the behavior of our troops online.
Okay.
To that end, I want to thank and recognize the services for their new proactive social media policies. Use them. Anonymous, online, or keyboard complaining is not worthy of a warrior. It's cowardice masquerading as conscience. Anonymous.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been the whole internet is full of cowards that never show their face. Yeah, I mean, they have something to say, and but he's right. He's very right.
Unit level social media pages that trash commanders, demoralize troops, and undermine unit cohesion must not be tolerated. Again, O3s, E6s. Sixth, we must train and we must maintain. Any moment that we are not training on our mission or maintaining our equipment is a moment we are less prepared for preventing or winning the next war.
That's the truth. You got to be ready at all times. You can't let, other militaries catch you with your pants down. You know what I mean? I don't want war at all. I am not pro-war. I am anti-war. I do not think we need it. And it's one of those things where I don't want any war unless it is, when you hear me say absolutely necessary, you don't know what ends that I'm going to. I'm talking about the absolute last resort. Okay? Because too many men and women die in these wars that never had to. And, it's one thing I used to hear sometimes. I would hear people talking about war, and it was like, there's not a bunch of young men and women dying in these old rich men's wars. I'm like, wow. That was a real simple way to put it, but it had gravity to it. Kind of hit. I was like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like I can never be in the military because I'm so against, you know, hurting other people, killing other people. You know, I'm very, very much against that. Certain situations, though, the hand is, you know, forced. And I get it. I get it. You know, some country drops a somewhere, boom, you know, and you know, sometimes, yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to have that right retaliation. This is what it is, you know what I mean? But yeah, the reasoning behind a lot of the wars, the greed behind the wars, I could never follow an order to take people out because people are being greedy or they want this resource or it's not clear. Stuff like that. I could never be behind anything like that. Plus, when I found out, let me tell you something. I would never go anyway. Before, a little bit after high school, my mind kind of toyed with the Marines. My uncle had been Marines, a sniper and everything. But it was never seriously considered. But let me tell you something. When I found out how many people die from friendly fire, I was like, no, absolutely not. I got worried about the enemy plus my own men. No, sorry.
That is why today, at my direction, we are drastically reducing the ridiculous amount of mandatory training that individuals and units must execute. We've already ended the most egregious. Now we're giving you back real time. Less PowerPoint briefings and fewer online courses, more time in the motor pool, and more time on the range.
Okay.
Our job is to make sure you have the money, equipment, weapons, and parts to train and maintain, and then you take it from there.
What I don't like about this is that I hope they're not gearing up for something. You know what I'm saying? Talking about keeping them sharp. I hope they're not gearing up for something. That's my biggest fear.
You all know this because it's common sense. The tougher and the higher the standards in our units, the higher the retention rates in those units. Warriors want to be challenged. Troops want to be tested.
True.
When you don't train and you don't maintain, you demoralize.
Yeah.
And that's when our best people decide to take their talents to the civilian world.
Don't use it, you lose it.
The leaders who created the woke department have already driven out too many hard chargers. We reversed that trend.
Make me laugh every time he says that.
There is no world in which high-intensity war exists without pain, agony, and human tragedy. We are in a dangerous line of work. You are in a dangerous line of work. We may lose good people. But let no warrior cry out from the grave, if only I had been properly trained.
Yeah.
We will not lose warfighters because we failed to train or equip them or resource them. Shame on us if we do. Train like your warriors' lives depend on it. Because they do. To that point, basic training is being restored to what it should be. Scary, tough, and disciplined. We're empowering drill sergeants to instill healthy fear in new recruits, ensuring that future warfighters are forged.
Healthy
yes,
fear,
they can shark attack, they can toss bunks, they can swear, and yes, they can put their hands on recruits.
Now, my uncle told my mom that when he was in the Marines training, his drill sergeant bit his ear. And from what I understand, because of the Full Metal Jacket situations, you watch the beginning of Full Metal Jacket, which is the absolute greatest part of the movie, the best part of the movie, and one of the best pieces of cinema you've ever seen in your life. When you see what happens at the end of that with Private Pyle, because of them hitting them and putting their hands on them, because of stuff like that happening over and over again, I heard that that's one of the reasons why they stopped letting them put their hands on them. So I don't know if this is a good idea.
This does not mean they can be reckless or violate the law,
Okay.
but they can use tried and true methods to motivate new recruits to make them the warriors they need to
like
be.
that word, motivate.
Back to basics at basic as well.
I don't know about this one.
Of course, and you know this basic training is not where mission readiness should end. The nature of the evolving threat environment demands that everyone, in every job, must be ready to join the fight if needed. A core credo of the Marine Corps is
That's
every
interesting.
Marine a rifleman. It means that everyone, regardless of MOS, is proficient enough to engage an enemy threat at
They
sea,
need
in the
to.
air, or in a so-called rear area. We need to ensure that every member of our uniformed military maintains baseline proficiency in basic combat skills, especially because the next war, like the last, will likely not have a rear area.
A rear area?
Finally, as President Trump rightly pointed out when he changed the department name, the United States has not won a major theater war since the name was changed to the Department of Defense in 1947. One conflict stands out in stark contrast.
You say Stark? You have any cheeseburgers? Never mind.
The Gulf War. Why? Well, there's a number of reasons. But it was a limited mission with overwhelming force and a clear end state. But why did we execute and win the Gulf War the way we did in 1991? There's two overwhelming reasons. One was President Ronald Reagan's military buildup gave an overwhelming advantage. And two, military and Pentagon leadership had previous formative battlefield experiences. The men who led this department during the Gulf War were mostly combat veterans of the Vietnam War. They said never again to mission creep or nebulous end states. The same holds true today. Our civilian and military leadership is chock full of veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan who say never again to nation building and nebulous end states. This clear-eyed view, all the way in the White House, combined with President Trump's military buildup, postures us for future victories if, and we will, and when we embrace the War Department. And we must. We are preparing every day. We have to be prepared for war, not for defense. We're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense is something you do all the time. It's inherently reactionary and can lead to overuse, overreach, and mission creep. War is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims. We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country.
Getting dark.
No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader. And it's all my E6 squad leaders ever wanted, back to that E6 rule. We let our leaders fight their formations, and then we have their back. It's very simple, yet incredibly powerful. A few months ago, I was at the White House when President Trump announced his Liberation Day for America's trade policy.
I didn't hear him say this. This speech must be longer than this. I wonder if this is a portion. Because I heard he does talk about the woke stuff, but I heard he also says something about people being overweight, people being fat in the military. I hope they cover it in this. If not, I'll speak on it. But
It was a landmark day. Well, today is another Liberation Day. The liberation of America's warriors, in name, in deed, and in authorities. You kill people and break things for a living. You are not politically correct and don't necessarily belong always in polite society. We are not an army of one.
it sounds like he wants savages.
We are a joint force of millions of selfless Americans. We are warriors. We are purpose-built, not for fair weather, blue skies, or calm seas. We were built to load up in the back of helicopters.
And part of me gets it. War is not friendly. War is not fun. War is not happy. And, shine sunshine and rainbows. It's not. So,
5 tons, or Zodiacs, in the dead of night, in fair weather or foul, to go to dangerous places, to find those who would do our nation harm. and deliver justice on behalf of the American people in close and brutal combat if necessary.
Damn.
You are different.
I ain't never heard nobody speak like this. Okay. Watch a bunch of y'all send me a bunch of military speeches now.
We fight not because we...
You ain't never heard or listened to this one.
We fight because we love what's behind us. You see, the Ivy League faculty lounges will never understand us, and that's okay. Because they could never do what you do. The media will mischaracterize us, and that's okay. Because deep down they know the reason they can do what they do is you. In this profession, you feel comfortable inside the violence so that our citizens can live peacefully. Lethality is our calling card, and victory our only acceptable end state. In closing, a few weeks ago, at our monthly Pentagon Christian prayer service, I recited a commander's prayer. It's a simple yet meaningful prayer for wisdom for commanders and leaders. I encourage you to look it up if you've never seen it. But the prayer, it ends like this. And most of all, Lord, please keep my soldiers safe. Lead them, guide them, protect them, watch over them. And as you gave all of yourself for me, help me give all of myself for them. And amen. I have prayed this prayer many times since I've had the privilege of being your secretary. And I will continue to pray this prayer for each of you as you command and lead our nation's finest. Go forth and do good things, hard things. President Trump has your back, and so do I. And you'll hear from him shortly. Move out and draw fire. Because we are the War Department. Godspeed.
Okay. So, yeah. Let me see something here. Let's see something here. So I just typed in fat military. Let's see what, let me see what he says here. All right. Let me expand this and record.
It's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. It's time to look out at combat formations.
Okay. So that's the fat military one. Let me see. I heard he said something about women in the military. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find this one. This is comment formations. Oh, he's talking about the fat ones again. I personally didn't know we had fat soldiers. I knew kind of like, the older ones, the guys that were out of practice. I knew that, they would be overweight. It's kind of like cops. Once they get up older in age, several of them are overweight. That's what I was thinking. Looks like I can't find the one with the women. I saw a little clip of it, just a little bit. Yeah, he had said something like, basically about lowering the standards of the tests. If a woman can make it, fine. But if she can't, then so be it. I heard him say something like that. So, I get it. You can't lower your standards. You know what I mean? And then what happens is, because you've lowered your standards to allow certain people to compete or to be in the military, not compete. You know, I'm thinking of kind of like athletics, but you see what I'm talking about. You become the weak link in the armor. You know what I mean? And then in the fight, in the battle, when they need you, you can't perform, and you could be responsible for several people losing their lives because they lowered the standards to let you in just to check a box. So I do get it. This dude is stern. He is shrewd. Sounds like a polished Vegeta a little bit there. So I have to hold out my opinion. I'm not really sure. I like some of what he said, and I'm not sure some of it's kind of, but like I said, war is not friendly. So I get where he's going with that, but he's getting hard with it, cold, stern, even dark. You know what I mean? Savage with it. It's what it is. You guys post comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I will talk to y'all later. Woo.